we just have to pound it into these guys' brains over and over again. If we keep turning the ball over like we are right now, we're in trouble. But if we take care of it, like we did last year after we got Jimmy Butler, then we're going to be really good. I told our team before the season, let's finish in the top 4.
Out to the River Islands guest line we go, presented by Great Clips. In sports, success is about team effort, and the same is true for your hair. Great Clips, it's going to be great. And here he is, Coach Kerr. Hey, Coach, what's going on this afternoon?
I'm good. I'm just on my way to the airport, heading for Denver, and excited for our game tomorrow night.
Yeah, this crazy schedule continues, and I just want to throw this out there. I don't want to put you in a position where it sounds like you're complaining, because I get it. Everyone's got a schedule. But I heard, for example, just as an example, Nick Friedel, our Warrior insider, earlier today said in all of his years covering the league, this is maybe one of the worst starts he's ever seen schedule-wise for a team. What is your reaction to that? How can you bring our fans inside what you guys are experiencing so far?
Well, I agree with Nick. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this where we've had so many games in different cities and, no consistent theme to it, back-to-backs. But, we fly to the Midwest for 2 games and then back for 1 home game, then back on the road, and then back for a home game, and then it's nuts when you add it all up. I believe it's 15 games in 26 days, something like that, and in like 10 cities. So it's really, I've never seen anything like it. But it is true. Every single team has to deal with a stretch in the season where it's just really rough, and I kind of like getting it out of the way early. I think we're going to survive this, and the second half of the schedule really lines up a lot better for us, and we'll be in much better shape.
Is that really the message then right now? Because I'm looking at the next 8 games. You've got 8 in 15 days, and you've got 7 road, and as you mentioned, you have at Denver, back home, and then a long road trip. Is that partly the message to the team of, like, let's survive this and we'll be better later?
I haven't really said that to them yet. What I have talked about is, the early part of the season, we're playing a lot of people, obviously. We want to be able to get everybody ramped up to the point where, they can play consistently high minutes. Obviously our starters are the ones who need to get to that point, and that's probably been the most difficult part of this stretch. Sometimes you'll get a stretch like this in the middle of the season, but to have so many games at the very beginning of the season when you're not ramped up yet, and it's just kind of surprising that we would have this. But I like our depth. I thought last night our depth showed. We had every chance to win that game without our 3 best players, and the reason we had an opportunity to do that is because we've got a lot of good players. So we just have to tighten some things up, and I think we're going to be in really good shape going forward.
Yeah, Steve, let's dive into last night a little bit. And first and foremost, just your impressions of the way those young guys went out there and played, and the fact that a few of them, at least offensively, really shined.
Yeah, I think it showed in the first half how potent we can be when we keep the game simple and we take care of the ball and we run. That was our fastest paced game of the season by design. Without Jimmy, Steph, and Dre, we got to push the ball. But the message is you got to push the ball and get spaced and then make simple decisions, which we did, for most of the first half. And then I thought 2 turnovers really hurt us. And this is kind of the nature of the game today because of the pace, because of the 3-point shooting. All it takes is a couple of mistakes that turn into threes at the other end. And especially on the road, the whole game shifts. And so we just have to pound it into these guys' brains over and over again, our whole team, not just the young guys, but everybody, that if we keep turning the ball over like we are right now, we're in trouble. But if we take care of it, like we did last year after we got Jimmy Butler, and if we defend without fouling, like we did last year when we got Jimmy Butler, then we're going to be really good, 23-7 down the stretch last year. And that's the only thing that changed, honestly, was Jimmy controlled the game because he would take care of the ball and he would get fouled, and we were the ones going to the foul line instead of our opponents. So that's what it comes down to for this team, and we have to get there. We really believe we can get there.
Steve, not to ask you to predict when people are going to be under the weather, but we know you guys have certainly a plan to manage the time and the age of some of your star players. Your best guess, how many kind of last night games do you think you're going to have this year?
I don't think anybody can guess because we wouldn't have guessed that Steph got sick. He's unlikely to play tomorrow in Denver. He's still pretty sick. But these things happen during the season, whether it's an injury or an illness, whatever it is. I mean, guys miss games. So every year's different. You don't really know what's coming. So that's why you have to rely on your fundamentals and your decision making and then finding really good lineup combinations and being able to win some games like last night. I think last year, if I'm not mistaken, we were like 7-5 without Steph. You got to do that. You have to be able to find ways to win without your best players. And last night was a great lesson for our young guys. They gave themselves every chance to win because they played hard. They shared the ball. They competed. But we got to be more solid. We cannot turn the ball over with careless decision making and trying to make plays that aren't there and expect to win.
And that's partly, I think, through experience and all that. But I wonder about Steph Curry. Is he going to be on the flight today to Denver? And will it be kind of a wait-and-see moment whether or not he can be healthy enough to go?
Barring some unforeseen, last-second change, I don't expect him to be on the flight today. So he's still sick. We don't need him to get everybody else sick. We don't need him to fly to altitude to Denver for, while he's still trying to get healthy. Now, maybe it bleeds on a few more days. He misses another game. We can't have that happen. And, whether it's an illness or an injury, we've got to be really smart with all of our players so that we navigate the season the right way.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. Steve Kerr here on Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game. I want to talk about Will Richard last night and what he showed you, and I know that he's been, possibly ticketed for the G League, and he comes out and he has 30 points. Does that change maybe the organizational plans about where Will will go?
Well, Will fits in perfectly with everything that I'm discussing right now. The turnovers, the decision-making, the spacing, the ability to dribble, pass, and shoot and process. Those four things lead to good decision-making as a team, as a group. I can draw a play out of timeout and put Will in any one of the five positions. I can draw up a play for him to come off a screen and shoot. I can draw up the play for him to handle the ball and make the decision. I can draw up a play to have him set a screen. So when you get guys like this that provide really solid play and stability, this is what has made our team go around Steph and Draymond. I've said this to you guys a million times. Who are those stabilizers out there in this decade run that we've had? It's Andre Iguodala, it's Sean Livingston, it's David West. You need them at different positions because Steph and Dre need stability around them to get them organized and to help them navigate the game and to get Steph the ball. So Will Richard fits all those. He checks all those boxes. So, I think that the whole team, the whole organization recognizes this, which means everybody's on notice. Take care of the ball because we got people who will do that, and they're ready to step in.
It's interesting, Steve, because Will described to us last week when we sort of asked him how he sees himself in this whole thing, and he described it as like the dirty work, garbage man, lunch pail type stuff, do everything, and maybe he is that, but then he starts and he scores 30, and that doesn't say dirty work, lunch pail to people. That says, whoa, you kind of pop a little bit. So do you think that maybe even from his view, your view, the organizational view, that maybe there's a little bit more going there on the offensive arsenal than you guys thought?
Absolutely. You don't really expect to see this from a guy who was, the 57th pick or something. But what we've seen now for, since the start of camp, as I said, dribble, pass, shoot process, those are the most important things a player can have. And then you put that into a body of a guy who can guard multiple spots and plays with the energy that he does, the intelligence. What a steal. What an incredible pick by Mike Dunleavy and the scouting department. And tell you, when you think about our group the last few years in the draft, what they've been able to accomplish is really impressive.
Last night, J.K. was, kind of asked to be the primary scorer without Steph and Jimmy and Draymond as well. Did you give him a different message going into the game? And what did you think of the way J.K. played as kind of the primary option?
Well, the main message was, without Steph and Dre, he was going to get the ball a lot more. And we initiated a lot of our offense last night with J.K. And I thought he did a great job of creating points for us. And I thought it was also a great lesson for him that there has to be a balance to his game. He had the 5 turnovers. And, one of them was that key turnover that I mentioned, late second quarter. We had all the momentum. He tried to dribble through his guy when there was nothing there. I think it turned into a dunk at the other end or a 3. So, this is all part of the processing of the game and the understanding of what wins and what loses. And this is where he has to make his biggest improvement, is just recognizing, sometimes when you're so talented and you have so many possibilities at your disposal, it makes the game harder because you think you can do anything. And I think most young, talented players have to, kind of go through a process like this where, I know I can do everything, but I really have to make the right play over and over again. And, it took Steph some years to figure that out. And even to this day, Steph does some wild stuff out there. But if the ratio is right, it's the old Manu Ginobili stuff with Pop. Like Manu was going to do three crazy things every game, but if he did 15 things that counteracted it, the ratio is good enough where you allow that. And that's what I look for with all of our guys is does the decision making and the processing allow for us to control the game? That's why Jimmy Butler came in and changed our team last year, because suddenly we were in control of every game. So that's what we have to find as a group. That's what some of our younger players, JK, BP also, he needs to be a low turnover guy. Our younger guys need to learn that. And last night, that's why I really liked last night's game from that process, that thought, I'd much rather would have won, but it's right there for us, guys. If our decision-making isn't better, we're not going to win the game.
Steve Kerr with us here on Willard and Dibs, as he is every single week on 95.7 The Game. To that end, Steve, I think you can even hear it in your voice. A lot of the fans feel the same. We look at all this, and I think we see puzzle pieces. We often like the way the group is playing, but then you look at the record, and it's 5-4, and the West is just so damn stacked. It's so kind of daunting to look at. So especially when you factor in what happened last year, what's the sense of urgency early in the year to kind of set it up so that you guys don't have to chase in the second half?
Well, yeah. Of course, we've given a couple games away for sure, and there's absolutely a focus on that. But you can't just say, hey, we got to get urgent here. There has to be a process that leads to the execution that leads to the wins. And so right now the focus is on the process. Take care of the damn ball, and we can help you with that as coaches with spacing and, our offensive scheming, what we're doing. That's a collaboration. But ultimately, we'll adapt or die. I mean, the league has changed, and everyone's playing with pace and three-point shooting. I would say 7 or 8 years ago, we could turn it over 18 times and it didn't matter because we were going to shoot threes and play fast and out-talent people. Now you can play one of the worst teams in the league, and they will beat you by making 20 threes and playing really fast if you turn it over. And so our entire team needs to understand this message. And obviously I've given them that message. I'm not sharing it with you guys without sharing it with them. But I want them to hear this too on the radio. We have to adapt to what the league is doing right now. And that means take care of the ball, handle transition at both ends. And if we do that, I love our team. I think we're going to go places.
Yeah, it could be a struggle. And I wonder, Steve, how much is this year in the regular season more about, fighting for the 6 as opposed to fighting for the 1 seed?
Yeah, I think unless you're, OKC, everybody in the West is thinking, let's make sure we're in the top 6. I told our team before the season, let's finish in the top 4. Let's have a home court advantage in the first round. And so, top 6 is obviously where everybody wants to end up. Nobody wants to be in the play-in. But I think we're good enough where we should be thinking top 4, home court. But we haven't gotten there yet. Schedule's been tough. We haven't settled our rotation yet. We haven't allowed for guys to get, comfortable yet in their roles because the lineups have changed. So we're a little bit scattered right now, but nothing that we can't fix and get on track. So, like I said, I couldn't be more excited about our team and our talent level and our ability to be good, but we have some work to do.
Steve, a couple of individuals I want to ask you about, and one is Al Horford. Right now, with what you're seeing from him, what is the level of concern, if any, with what you're seeing from him so far?
Zero concern, because what I'm watching is the way he's moving. I said this after the game, and I'm sure people laughed, but it was real. It was honest. I thought he played a really good game last night. The ball just didn't go in. All of his shots looked good. I thought every single one of them was going, and none of them went. So he's just in one of those stages right now, and it happens in every sport. Baseball player, who the ball's just, coming off his bat hard, but it's going right to people. Nothing's going Al's way right now, and it doesn't shock me because it is really hard to go to a new team. But I'm watching the way he's moving. I'm watching his decision-making, how smart this guy is. He's going to be just fine. I wouldn't worry about Al.
Well, and then the other guy, and this is the flip side answer, hey, what is this little change that Moses Moody made in his three-point shot? Because maybe everybody should do it. The ball keeps going in. What are you seeing differently from him so far this year?
Well, I think he's getting it off quicker. I think, that's really been our focus the last few years is, no hesitation and speeding up the delivery a little bit. His first few years in the league, it just felt like he was taking too long to get the shot off, and he's worked really hard. I think he's better shooting it on the move now, but he's playing with a ton of confidence. He had a rough camp. He was going to be in our starting lineup to begin the year for sure. You can see his on-ball defense is the best on the team. Poking the ball away from Devin Booker 3 or 4 times, stealing it from him the other night. You just feel Moses' defensive presence, and then he's a great fit, obviously, next to our best players because of the catch and shoot and basically taking care of the ball for the most part. So great to see Moses in a good groove, and we will rely heavily on him going forward.
All right, Steve, great stuff. We look forward to Denver tomorrow night. We appreciate it as always. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. Take care.